When it comes to the DC Universe reboot, a bunch of fans have been wondering if Green Arrow will actually get his shot on the big screen this time around. James Gunn, who is now co-CEO of DC Studios, recently addressed the Emerald Archer's potential place in this reimagined universe. And it's interesting because even though Green Arrow is a pretty well-known hero in the comics, he hasn't actually got that much attention in live action outside of television. So far, he's only been adapted twice in live action, both times through the CW. The first version showed up on Smallville, played by Justin Hartley, and the second, by far the most popular, was Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen in Arrow. Amell's version ended up being the face of the CW's Arrowverse for 8 full seasons, and during that time, he even crossed over with The Flash, Supergirl, and a bunch of other connected shows. His Oliver Queen started as a billionaire playboy who turned vigilante and became the foundation of DC's shared TV universe. Fans got deeply invested in his journey, especially when it all built up to the massive Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover in 2020, where Oliver sacrificed himself in order to reboot the multiverse. That was a huge emotional moment, and also capped off Amell's run as the character. Because of all that, many were hopeful that Green Arrow might eventually pop up in Zack Snyder's DCEU films too. In fact, there were even rumors that Rebel Moon star Charlie Hunnam had been approached for the role at one point, though he reportedly turned it down from what he called some people in suits. But the timing of those films overlapped with Amell's tenure on the CW, so the character never made the leap to Snyder's version of the Justice League. Now, fast forward to James Gunn's reboot of the DCU. Gunn and the cast of his show Peacemaker recently wrapped up a podcast where they revisited canon details and tried to clear up some lingering fan questions. And that's where Green Arrow came up. Back in Peacemaker's Season 1, Episode 8, John Cena's character, Chris Smith, made a pretty savage joke about Green Arrow, saying that he went to brony conventions dressed as the back half of Twilight Sparkle. Since most of Season 1 of Peacemaker has now been declared canon to Gunn's new DCU, fans naturally started asking if that meant Green Arrow was officially part of it too. Gunn, however, wasn't ready to give a clear answer. When asked about it, he simply said, "Is Green Arrow canon? I don't know. I'm not willing to say yet. We don't really know. We don't have Green Arrow as part of our system right now. So maybe he exists, maybe he doesn't, I'm not sure." It was a vague response, and although it left the door open, it didn't exactly confirm anything. That didn't stop speculation though. Back in April 2025, actor Garrett Dillahunt, who is set to appear in the upcoming Lantern show, posted some pictures of himself wearing a green eye mask, and fans immediately jumped on the idea that he might be teasing Green Arrow. But Gunn quickly shut that rumor down on Threads, telling fans that wasn't the case. Even though nothing is official, it's easy to see why fans are buzzing about Green Arrow. He's a key character in DC's lore, and Stephen Amell's portrayal made him a household name for superhero TV. Because of that, audiences are eager to know not just if Oliver Queen will return, but also who could take on the role if he does. What makes this whole situation more complicated is that Peacemaker often pokes fun at other superheroes, and Oliver Queen wasn't the only one roasted. Still, because Season 1 of Peacemaker took place in the old DCEU, while Season 2 will be canon to the new DCU, fans are really curious about what jokes or references carry over. Gunn's refusal to commit about Green Arrow just makes people speculate even more. When Gunn was asked more broadly about building the DCU, he gave a little hint about why he hasn't rushed to include Green Arrow just yet. He explained in one interview that he didn't want to make Superman so powerful that heroes like Batman, or even a guy with a bow and arrow, would feel irrelevant. He mentioned how, as a kid, he actually preferred Batman over Superman because Batman wasn't overpowered. And now, as he's shaping the DCU, Gunn wants to make sure every character matters. That comment seemed to reference Green Arrow indirectly, since Oliver Queen is one of those heroes who relies on skill and smarts rather than godlike powers. Meanwhile, Stephen Amell himself has been candid about the future of Green Arrow. After the reboot was announced, he said it's only a matter of time before someone else plays Oliver Queen. According to him, there will be another Oliver Queen. There will, and it'll be new and cool and exciting, and however much the internet hates it, is probably a direct indication as to how good it's going to be. He also added that casting choices aren't random and that smart people take their time deciding. Whoever does step into the role, he believes, will do an amazing job. It's a healthy, optimistic attitude, especially since actors often struggle with seeing their iconic roles recast. But even with all that, Gunn has been clear that Green Arrow isn't currently part of their system. That means fans probably shouldn't expect John Cena's Peacemaker to keep dropping Oliver Queen references when the show's second season arrives in August 2025. So the big question is, how will Green Arrow eventually join Gunn's DCU? Well, Gunn's maybe he exists, maybe he doesn't leaves plenty of flexibility. It could mean an eventual origin story, or it could mean jumping into Oliver Queen's life when he's already an established vigilante, similar to how Gunn is handling Batman and Superman. That approach lets him pick the most effective entry point without being tied down to what came before. There was also a lot of chatter about Garrett Dillahunt's casting. Some fans thought he could be the new Oliver Queen, but it turns out his role in Lanterns is William Macon, a conspiracy-driven character with ruthless ambition behind hidden charm. Interestingly, William Macon doesn't have a direct counterpart in DC Comics, which has led some fans to theorize that he could be an alias for another established hero. One popular theory is Rip Hunter, the time-traveling adventurer who has big ties to the Green Lanterns and even Booster Gold. The description of William Macon actually fits Rip Hunter surprisingly well, especially his paranoia and secretive vibe. If that theory is true, Dillahunt might be playing a time-traveling figure instead of the Emerald Archer. And honestly, given Dillahunt's past performances, like his roles in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, Deadwood, and Justified, he could pull off a mysterious and morally complex character like Rip Hunter really well. Even if Dillahunt doesn't end up being Rip Hunter, the DCU seems perfectly set up to eventually introduce him. Gunn has already announced a Booster Gold series, and Rip Hunter happens to be Booster's father in the comics. Plus, the inclusion of Jamie Reyes' Blue Beetle could eventually lead to Ted Kord showing up, who often partners with Booster and Rip. And then there's Lanterns, which is bringing Hal Jordan into the fold, and he too has teamed up with Rip Hunter's Time Masters in the comics. So the pieces are already falling into place for that side of DC lore. As for Green Arrow, though, it looks like he won't be a priority for a while. DC Studios already has a full slate of projects lined up, and none of them seem to have a clear spot for Oliver Queen just yet. That means fans might be waiting until the 2030s before he finally joins the party, assuming the DCU continues to thrive. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it gives Gunn and his team more time to figure out the best way to introduce him. Fans hope Green Arrow's DCU debut embraces his comic roots, witty, political, and distinct, rather than the CW's darker take. His romance with Black Canary could offer a fresh angle. For now, James Gunn keeps his status uncertain, leaving the door open for a future grand entrance when the timing fits. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.